Hi, everybody. George Chamberlin here, executive editor for the Daily Transcript. Just finished up our third roundtable of the week. We're recording this on December 11th, and it is a good roundtable that was about smart money decisions at the end of the year, moving into the year 2014. And one of the people who joined us on the roundtable, always a welcome guest here at the Transcript and a contributor to the publication, is Nevin. He is a director of research and marketing for the Xpera Group, and he just put out his 2014 real estate forecast. Always good to see you, Alan.
Thank you, George.
First of all, your takeaway from the roundtable. It was a little bit different than many of the roundtables you've participated in.
Yes, because I traditionally get immersed in real estate roundtables, and here was a table where a lot of people were thinking about stocks and bonds, which I rarely do.
Yeah. But it was a chance to kind of talk about how all of these managing assets and everything kind of comes together. And I thought it was kind of a fun variation on what we usually do. 2013 has been one heck of a year for especially residential real estate, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
Explain some of the things that you take away from this year.
Well, I guess I just see a situation where interest rates are so low that you're almost forced into buying a home. And because there has been a perpetual supply-demand imbalance, you've seen home prices go up much faster than I ever thought they would. And it looks like they're still on that same path.
A lot of people say, uh-oh, here we go again.
That's true. We're still a couple $100,000 away
That's a good point.
From the high point of 2005, but we just don't have an adequate supply of sale housing.
How explain the components of the lack of supply?
Well, it's fairly simple. SANDAG, San Diego Association of Governments, says that we need about 11 to 12,000 new housing units every year to satisfy our growth path. And we're barely doing 5,000, and that's been true, of course, since the recession began. And we are building a bigger hole for ourselves. We just can't get a supply-demand balance.
And that's not likely to be resolved soon because we just don't have the space, per se, to grow right now, do we?
Well, yes. In other words, the land has not been processed to allow the growth to occur.
Explain what you mean by processed.
Well, normally it takes anywhere between 3 and 5 years to get land approved for development in this county. Sometimes a lot longer, but nonetheless, when we went into this recession, what normally happens during a recession is the equity comes out of New York and the savings and loan associations and resuscitates the lot supply for the next boom. Didn't happen this time because New York collapsed. And there are no more S&Ls. So nobody could step up with the money to replace the land that's been used up.
And that's, is that potentially going to change in the future? How far down the road do you think?
Well, the next supply is the villages 8 and 9, actually, in Otay Ranch.
Okay.
And that's, it'll start in 2015, but obviously we're still building up that deficit.
Sure, which then leads to your forecast for 2014, which I think the takeaway for me as I read your forecast was a continuation of what we've seen this year.
Yes, very much so. And actually, it may even, I hate to say this, but I see this imbalance showing up in the fact that people are still bidding up houses and we're still seeing multiple offers, particularly on anything under $500,000.
Yeah, and are we seeing now that have the investors left San Diego County, or are they still looking at being involved here? The people that were buying up large blocks of housing and things like that.
What's happening now, and this is a little bit helpful, is that they are starting to take their profits.
Oh, okay.
And something in excess of 20% of the housing units in this county are investor-owned. And that does loosen up the inventory. Unfortunately, those homes are all occupied by renters who then have to go out and find another place to live.
Good point. Good point. That is one area when you drive around San Diego County, at least what you see now, is some construction of apartments on 15, and down in the valley, Mission Valley, and things like that. So that is one area where there is construction going on.
That is true, although unfortunately for those in the middle income ranges, most of that new construction is pretty expensive.
It's going to be pricey. Going to be pricey. Have we made progress in 4 years ago, Alan? You couldn't convince anybody to buy a house.
Right. Except the investors.
Except the investors, the smart money. But are we at a point now where we're starting to see the individual saying, okay, I've penciled it out, it makes sense, I can see the wisdom of buying a house?
Yes, but then they can't find one.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. But we're still seeing about 30% of our home sales are all cash, which indicates a lot of investors are still there.
Still there. It's going to be an interesting year. I think we'll find out how the Fed approaches all of this with interest rates and stuff like that. But is your thought that we'll keep interest rates low?
Oh, I think absolutely. I heard a presentation by John Williams, who's head of the Federal Reserve up in San Francisco. He thinks they're going to stay low for another 3 years.
Wow. Well, we'll find out what the new boss thinks about that next year, early on, that's for sure. Alan, it's always good to see you. Thanks for participating in the roundtable, and your thoughts are always appreciated here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, George.
All right, a good roundtable again. Samantha Henry was the reporter in the room, so look for her column on the website here and in the publication about smart money moves heading into 2014. Thanks.